In this video, I'm going to introduce you to finding X and Y intercepts. Now, the intercepts of a graph are points at which the graph crosses the axis. If we're talking about the X-intercept, that's the point where it crosses the x-axis, and the Y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So, for example, if I had this line graphed on our rectangular coordinate plane, the place that it crosses the x-axis would be right here, so this would be the x-intercept. Notice that that point is the point 4, 0. That is because since it's lying on the x-axis, any point that's lying on the x-axis is going to have a y-coordinate of 0. When I look for the y-intercept, that's down here. That's where it crosses the y-axis. So this is my y-intercept. This is the point 0, -4. Notice that the x value is 0. So any point along here on the y-axis, you're going to have an x value of 0. So in general, if you're looking for the x-intercept, what you want to do is plug y is equal to 0 and solve for x. Because the x-intercept is the value of x when y is 0. If you're looking for the y-intercept, you want to plug x equals 0 and solve for y. And that is because the y-intercept is the value of y when x is 0. So if we come down here, if we're given an equation and we're asked to find the x and the y-intercept, if we find the x-intercept first, that means I'm going to plug in y is 0. So I have 0 is equal to -2x minus 6. So now I need to solve this for x. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and then I'm going to divide by -2. So my x-intercept would be the point -3, 0. It's the value of x when y is 0. Now, let's do the y-intercept. The y-intercept, value of y when x is 0. So now I'm going to plug in 0 for x and solve for y. -2 times 0 is 0, which gives me a -6. So my y-intercept is going to be the point 0, -6. It's the value of y when x is 0. Okay, second example. Okay, let's find the x-intercept first. That's the value of x when y is 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y. So I have 2x plus 2/3 is equal to 3/4 times 0 minus 3. This disappears because x times 0. So I have 2x plus 2/3 is equal to -3. I'm going to subtract 2/3 from both sides, and I'm going to get minus 11/3. And then I'm going to divide by 2. Let me finish up here. So that gives me that x is minus 11 over 6. So my x-intercept, if I write it as an ordered pair, is minus 11 over 6, 0. It's the value of x when y is 0. Okay, let's do the y-intercept now. That's when x is equal to 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 for x This disappears because that's 0. So I'm left with 2/3 is equal to 3/4 y minus 3. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. When I add 3 to both sides, I'm going to get 11 over 3 is equal to 3/4 y. Let me finish over here. I'm running out of space. Now I have to multiply both sides by 4/3 to finish solving for y. So I multiply both sides of the equation by 4/3, and I'm going to get 44 over 9. So my y-intercept is going to be the point 0, 44 over 9. It's the value of y when x is 0. Okay, last example. So I showed you how to do, or I showed you how to find x and y intercepts given the equation by plugging in x is 0 or y is 0. So I showed you how to do it algebraically. And now looking at the graphs here, we're going to be able to find the x and y intercepts from the graph. So I'm going to put the x-intercepts in red and the y-intercepts in blue. Okay, so looking at graph number 1, my x-intercepts are the places where it crosses the x-axis. So looking at graph 1, it's here, here, and here. So my x-intercepts for the first graph would be x equals -3. I have one at 0, and then I also have one at 3. For my y-intercept, notice this is a special case because it crosses at the origin. Y equals 0 is a y-intercept. So the origin acts as the x and y-intercept in this case. In this graph here, my x-intercept, here's my x-axis right here. My x-intercept would be right here where it crosses the x-axis. So x equals -1. If I want to write it as an ordered pair, it would be -1, 0. And my y-axis, or my y-intercept, it crosses right here. So my y-intercept is 1. And if I want to write that as an ordered pair, it would be 0, 1, the value of y when x is 0. For the last graph, x-intercept, if you notice, here's my equation graphed. Here is my x-axis. They never cross. This graph right here never touches or crosses the x-axis. So, and this is a special case where there is no x-intercept. The y-intercept, however, it crosses right here. So my y-intercept is going to be y is equal to 2. And if I write it as an ordered pair, it's going to be 0, 2. It's the value of y when x is 0.